things. It's going to create, we use it to create images, we use it to create letters, essays, poems, novels, short stories, love confessions. I don't suggest you use it for love confessions. It doesn't do a good job from what I've heard. So we're using AI to make everything. But AI uses data to learn, to make things. So you have to ask yourself, where is it getting that data? So generally, it's going to get it from the internet at large. Sometimes they have limits on the parameters of what they're gathering, but a lot of the times they're just kind of crawling all over the internet looking for any kind of information they can find. There is some controversy about platforms like Facebook, Adobe, Photoshop also got in trouble for this, where they're taking the user's data and they're using it to train their AI models, which a lot of users weren't really happy about. They felt like it was an invasion of privacy. You also can get your data for your AI from a curated pool, like from a database. You create the data that your AI is going to learn, and that gives you more control over what your AI can learn, or what kind of data it has, if it has access to good data, things like that. A lot of the generative AI that we use, or that we refer to day to day, is going to be that top category. It just goes all over the internet. And if you want to know specifically where your AI gets its information, you need to go into about the engine, and sometimes you can find out what it is gathering stuff from, and sometimes it doesn't specifically tell you. A lot of the times they do, you just have to find it. So it's getting all this data from the internet. So AI is not creating anything itself. So it's trained on this data. It's getting the data and information freely floating out on the internet. Is that copyright infringement? That's one of the things that you have to think about when using generative AI. And it's one of the things that leads into it being plagiarism if you use it. So AI art has created a lot of outrage with artists because they have spent years training, putting in education, putting in the work to get to the skills that they are. And then AI is just training off their art to create very cheap, free images. They're not really happy with it. I recently saw an article that said, hey, AI poetry, you can't tell the difference between AI poetry and human written poetry. Why do you need people to write poetry? There's also a lot of AI generated books out on the market. So these are some of the things that AI is doing in the creative field, since it's being used to create. So, and there's a lot of debate over, should you be using AI to create stuff like this? Should this just be a field for humans to work on? And in contrast, the academic field has a lot of feelings about AI as well. There are some people who are all for it, as I'm sure that is true in libraries, and there are some people who are like, absolutely not, we should never even mention its name. So some of the issues are, since AI is using data it doesn't own, is any use of AI plagiarism? I've seen that argument be brought up. Since everything that your AI will write for you is based off of something someone else wrote, yeah. Some people think it's plagiarism no matter how you use it. If you have a student that uses AI, they're not doing any of the work. So is any time you use AI cheating? Or is it a tool to be used in the proper way with the proper attribution? People are talking about now, how do you cite your AI sources? How do you cite your use of AI? So there's a greatly changing and very quickly changing discussion around AI and no one is on the same page about it most of the time. It all kind of depends on where you are and how people feel about it. Some people feel like you should never mention AI. Some people feel like it should be taught in all classes so your students are aware of it, they know how to use it, and most importantly, they know how to not use it. So specifically, generative AI and academic integrity, which includes plagiarism, cheating, and different things like that. We kind of covered the why is using AI cheating. It's because A, your student's not doing the work. B, it's because the AI is getting its sources from all over. It's not going to cite those sources if you ask it to write an essay. Usually, you can finagle ChatGPT to give you in-text citations. It's not right, though. It never really works. It's basically like getting someone else to write your paper. You're paying another student to write your paper. And you have to find out where are you going to draw that line between assistance and cheating. And that is something that I have found, like class to class, teacher to teacher, some people don't agree on. Different schools and institutions have different agreements on it. Different academic fields feel very differently about it. Small lag. Okay, couple numbers for you. Of more than 2 million writing assignments reviewed by Turnitin, and Turnitin is a big AI detection tool that people use. It only detected about 10% of some AI use and 3% in assignments that were, 3% of assignment were generated mostly by AI. But the thing is that students have been cheating for a long time. Between 60 to 70% of students admitted to cheating before ChatGPT, and it's remained the same. High school and middle school teachers have bumped up their use of AI detection tools, but that has nothing to say about how often kids were using it. That's more the professional literature caught up and teachers became aware of it. 90% of students are aware of ChatGPT. 89% of survey respondents report that they used it to help with a homework assignment. What help is, the article didn't specify, but 48% of students admitting to use ChatGPT for an at-home test or quiz. 53% had it write an essay. 22% had it write an outline for a paper. Those are varying degrees of, I guess, cheating or plagiarism. From whole out writing your essay definitely would be helping you with an outline where it gets a little iffy. So 72% of the surveyed college students thought that ChatGPT should be banned from their college's network. Now with stuff like that, you kind of have to wonder if they said that to save face, to look good, but that's kind of where numbers stand. These are some of the things that generative AI that people are using. There are many, 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 many. Biggest one is ChatGPT. We all know that one. You've got Copy AI. You've got Google's Gemini, which used to be Google Bard, but it switched over. Grammarly also does AI. We've got the Nipper GPT, which is, I got to play around with it. It's very interesting. It's a lot different from the commercially available generative AI. I don't know why, but it is. So you have all these generative AI tools that students can use, but then you also have some tools I'm sorry, I got completely off track there. You also have AI detection tools that teachers can use. So Turnitin is a big one because that's built into a lot of schools' programs already for detecting just plain up copying, plagiarism. They've added in that AI tool to detect things. The problem with that is there are ways that people can get around it, and we're going to talk about how effective they are. Another thing is students also have access to things that are called humanizers or paraphrasers. So a paraphraser, there's a couple different ones out there, literally takes the text you put in it and it paraphrases it. And I've had students suspected students of doing this when they had to write a brief summary of something, and they put it in there. One student wrote it, another student put it in the paraphraser. Technically, it doesn't pop up as plagiarism, but it also does still sound the same. There's also humanizers, which are specifically designed to make AI-generated writing sound more like human-generated writing. Which it's very interesting that those already exist. So some of the ways teachers prevent it or try to prevent cheating or plagiarism with generative AI is they use scaffolding. So you break your assignments down into itty-bitty parts. You track the progress. It's easier to tell if the student's actually doing their work. Turning in drafts is basically the same as scaffolding. And these are things that I was seeing teachers do when I was working. A lot of teachers were having students write by hand during class or write like in a Google Doc where they could track what they were doing. A lot of people were moving away from traditional essay assignments to more creative things that wouldn't be as easy for AI to replicate. Sometimes I've had a lot of professors tell me I can tell when something's AI generated just because of the way that it's written. I don't know how accurate they were, but that was what they said. And some teachers are full on embracing AI, saying, hey, it's here, we might as well use it, we might as well teach students to use it and make the most of it. Okay, this is a list of, for your use, just for your knowledge, of AI checkers that are out there. There are a lot. There were more than I thought there were. The biggest one on the list is GPT-0. I think that was the first one. And Turnitin is one that a lot of schools use or have a subscription to. But the thing is, how well do they work? So this is a study I found. It was done in 2023. So it's a little older now. But they submitted AI-generated text to these different AI checkers. And this is the rate of detection they had. A lot of them had a range from likely AI-generated, possibly AI-generated, unclear, unlikely, and then very unlikely. So very unlikely is probably human-written. It's not a great split. So it's really hit or miss, depending on the engine you're using, depending on the writing that's generated. It's not a 100% guaranteed thing. But this is ChatGPT 3.5. When they tested the same things on ChatGPT 4.0, you have a massive shift in everything from one side to the other. So one particular AI detector did a lot better. It was OpenAI classifier, but a lot of them did much worse than they had done previously. And this is the thing with AI and detecting it, is AI evolves very rapidly, and a lot of the times the detection tools cannot keep up with that. So you may start off a semester and be like, hey, we can catch it. And then you get to the end and AI has already gotten to the point that it surpassed what can be detected. In this study, they also mentioned that if you had a student that if they ran those AI generated text through a humanizer or through a paraphraser, then it would not be detected as AI. So there are a lot of ways to get around it, not to be pessimistic, not to be like AI is evil or anything, but it's just kind of where data is right now. It's just kind of how things are. May change again, Hopefully it will. Okay. So now that you've heard me talk about generative AI for about 20 minutes and ramble on, I would like y'all to participate. And I guess it's a game. We could call it an experiment. And I would like you to guess if some things are AI generated or not. So one of the things on your screen is not AI generated. This is a haiku. It is a Japanese poem that is 5 syllables, 7 syllables, 5 syllables. Should be fairly easy for a computer to recreate because it has a pattern. So if y'all don't mind taking a minute, just looking that over and see what you think.
Those are all you want them to put in the chat.
Yep, if you're online, you can go ahead and put it in the chat. This one is rather difficult, so I don't know if there's a rhyme or reason.
One for B,
One for
two
B,
for A.
2 for A. Go ahead and guess it. Don't ever participate. The one that is.
Oh wait, they're coming in more quickly.
We kind of have time to read it. D. You think B is the non-AI generated?
It's B. I mean,
It's B.
it's A.
I think it's A.
It's A. I am bribing people with candy to participate. Okay. We've got it all over the map. So the answer is actually D. Yes. That is human generated. I did write that one. So, but there's not a lot of difference. Right, a little more in depth. I asked ChatGPT, what color eggs do chickens lay? I'll read this out loud for y'all. Chickens can lay eggs and it gave me 2 answers. And then we've got a human generated answer. So again, you've only got one AI generated. I'm sorry, you've only got one human generated answer. Give y'all some time to read through these. They are long. I did not change the formatting either. So the way it's formatted is the way I was given the answers, if that makes you change your mind.
Yeah, I was gonna say A because it is formatted.
Okay, you think A is not AI generated because it is formatted?
Okay.
Okay. Are you sure? Change your mind again? Okay, B. C?
Yeah.
If you got a C.
Got a couple C's in chat,
Couple C's in chat.
couple B's.
B's?
B.
Okay, the answer is C. So A was ChatGPT, B was Copy AI, and then C was me. I do have chickens. I like to talk about them a lot. So did we have more people guessing C than the right answer?
I think most people guessed B.
Okay. B would make sense because B is shorter and it doesn't go on at length. The interesting thing also I found while I was playing with all of the different AI engines doing this was you get a lot of different answers, but from the same AI. Like ChatGPT would give me different answers, different sessions. If I came in asking it about like peer-reviewed stuff, then I would get a different formatting or a different quality for answers, which is very interesting. All right, last one, and the one I think is hardest. Which of these citations are generated by AI? They're all actual real books. I don't think you can actually tell. I did go in and make sure these were actual books. But with citations, when you're reading like a paragraph or you're reading a poem, you can kind of make guesses and say, hey, this sounds AI generated. But if it's a citation, it's a citation, it's a source, it's just straight up information. There's no pattern of this is how it was written. There's nothing like that to kind of guide you along. So if you get citations, how do you know if they're AI generated? So we have found recently, specifically here at Area University Library, that there is a uptick in students asking for help finding sources that don't exist. So they may send in a full citation, they may send in just an author and a title, and they may say something like, hey, my instructor gave me this, or another student gave me this. We recently had an instructor come in asking to find sources, and we couldn't find any of them, so we're assuming they were AI generated. So it's becoming more prominent that people are going to AI and saying, hey, I need sources. So AI, but that's not the only place we're getting AI generated citations and sources. So 2 lawyers, at least 2, have been fired or faced legal charges for using fictional AI generated cases to show precedent in the cases that they were prosecuting, which is another level of faking your citations. AI chatbots are used in medicine. You have a lot of ones that answer medical questions. They're used to diagnose patients. They help with searches. And some medical schools are integrating AI very deeply into their programs of study. A fun thing I learned while working on this, and I don't know how I feel about that. So more relevant to us, teachers and professors use AI to generate tests, quizzes, prompts, write emails, find resources, sometimes not well, and a lot of librarians use it too. So there's a couple different ways you might find fake citations. A student may write a paper and say, hey, these are all my points. ChatGPT finds me sources that support my points. So they're reverse engineering. And sometimes it's a real work that ChatGPT has taken out of context or just said, hey, use this citation, the paper is real, but it does not have anything to do with what you're talking about. Sometimes it's just completely fictional, doesn't exist at all, which would be what AI likes to do. It is called a hallucination. So it just makes things up. A lot of times we're finding them using AI for research projects. So I jumped the gun on that one. They're getting the fully generated citations. They're getting just author and title. Sometimes, yes, you do get good sources. However, a lot of the time they're not. So they come to the librarians and say, hey, why can't I find this source? And then you spend a lot of time saying, why can't you find this source? Does this source exist? How do I figure out if this source exists? Because the last thing you want to tell a student is, I can't find it. We like to find things. That's our job. So I took some time and I took 3 different generative AIs. I did Copy AI, I did ChatGPT, and I did Google Gemini. And I just went in quickly and I said, hey, give me some resources. I was asking about resources related to Putin's leadership. So Copy AI gave me resources and it gave me links. Good, I can verify those are real. I can follow them to the URLs. They all worked. Starting off strong. I asked ChatGPT and it gave me a lot of things. It gave me books, it gave me documentaries, it gave me, for articles in journals, it told me to look for certain journals and it told me to check out the Carnegie Moscow Center. So it didn't give me specific articles that I could use. That looks really good, right? A lot of things you can use. The issue is the ones in green are real. So that's about 50%. The podcasts were real. 2 of the books were real. 1 of the documentaries was real. The articles, it didn't really give us any articles. But that looks pretty good. It's not too bad. There's a significant lag for these. And this, I just asked it to put it in citations, but the citations are incomplete in a lot of places. It gives you the correct formatting, but it's not giving you years. For the articles and journals, it just says articles on Putin's policies. Not very helpful. It says, I just wanted to see, okay, what are students getting when they ask AI for things? Google Gemini, when I asked it this question, said, I'm not going to talk about politics and you can't make me. So Google Gemini will not talk to you about politics. So I asked it about women in ancient Egypt instead. And it gave me a lot of links. And it also asked me, would you like to know something more specific about women's lives in ancient Egypt? Which is great, because that sounds like a reference interview, right? We're going in a positive direction, right? So the thing is, none of these, except for the article, the Smithsonian Magazine article. No, the National Geographic article is the only one that actually links to a specific source. So none of the books were actual books. Women in Ancient Egypt, Joyce, that author, has written a book about ancient Egypt. It's called Daughters of Isis, though. None of the other books are real. The websites are good, but that's not giving you a specific information, but you can go there to find it. So really not great. Books are something that I would really expect your generative AI to get right, because they are usually, that information is freely available. So I decided if I get more specific, what's going to happen? So I said, give me peer-reviewed sources. Welcome. So peer-reviewed sources, Copy AI did the same thing. I got 3 sources. It gave me links. We got Government Accountability Office, Social Science Computer Review. All great. Those things exist. ChatGPT gave me these very official looking links with very believable titles, very believable. A lot of the publications were real. I could not find any of the articles. I spent a long time looking, probably too long. And this is actually, I didn't ask it to format them in citations. All I did was I asked for peer-reviewed resources. So it gave me formatted. And this is one of the things with AI that bothers me a little bit, because it is very inconsistent in what it gives you. So chat to chat, it changes things up, which when you're looking for resources is not great. I also asked, none of these exist. I asked Gemini. It gave me a nice list. And about half of them were actually things that you could access, things that existed. I find it really interesting that it also says these resources offer a starting point for your research, depending on your specific interest. You may want to search for more recent publications or focus on particular federal agencies. So the way that each AI gives you things is very different. Some of them just spit stuff out. Some of them give you a lot of resources. Some of them give you guidance. It really depends on which one you're working with. Just one more thing talking about generating resources, because this came up as I was playing around with stuff. I asked a more specific question about resources to help me research the Air Force use of artificial intelligence in preventing attacks. And it didn't give me any specific resources or sources to look into, but it had this message where it said, this response was double checked with Google search. Gemini doesn't always get it right. This button helps you double check the responses. That didn't show up on my other searches. So I don't know what I did to trigger that. I don't know if Gemini said, hey, this person is doing a lot of searches, because you do have to log in to use that. So I don't know if that influenced it. Not sure. But it was just something that came up that I thought was interesting. So unfortunately for citations, we don't have something like Turnitin where you just pop it in and it can determine if it's fake or not. So some of the things that I have tried, some of the things that my other colleagues have tried, are just putting a citation a student gives you that they can't find. And if you can't find it, you don't recognize the journal or anything, put it in Google. Google is great at really general searches. So if you have a title and a journal or an author, it can look around and find it. If you have a full citation and you have the DOI, you go to doi.org, put that in, and it'll tell you, hey, this is what the DOI is attached to. If it's an article, you can go to the source material, like the journal, the publication, whatever it's in, and look for that specific article. If you can't find a book, you can check for the author. One of the things I found when it was pulling up books was sometimes it wouldn't give me the title of the book, it would be giving me the title of the chapter. So sometimes you can work with those. But basically, unfortunately, with these fake citations, the fake sources, you're just kind of vetting them as you would vet anything else for credibility. There's no magic that I know of that I was able to find. Hey, pros, so this is a fake citation. You just have to go in and look at it and search and do the legwork. So I haven't had anyone come out and say, hey, AI gave me this. Is it real? They're usually presenting this as, I got it from a friend, I got it from my instructor, I got it from whoever I got it from. It would be very helpful if they would just come up and say, hey, this is AI generated. Is it real? And then we could tell them, this is how you find out if it's real. This is how you can get sources that will be real every time. So as AI is getting smarter, it's getting better at imitating humans, and it's going to get harder to determine what has been generated by AI. So it's growing rapidly, it's changing rapidly, keeping up with everything that is being done by AI. Every advancement of AI would be a full-time job. In some way, I feel like librarians have it a little easier because you're just dealing with finding credible sources. You don't have to determine if someone plagiarized their final paper, that they need to pass the class, they need to graduate. Hopefully you don't have to deal with stuff like that, but it's still a drain on resources to spend our time trying to find things that don't exist. Especially since we don't have a surefire way of cracking down on them and figuring out immediately what this is. So very quickly, before we move on to another question I've got for y'all, have y'all seen in your libraries an uptick in AI generated citations, AI generated work? Has that been an issue kind of all across the board, or are we just special in seeing it because of where we are? And are there some ways that your staff has been dealing with it?
Yes, yes,
Yes. It all comes in waves.
I've seen one patron ask for an AI generated citation. Yes, we get them in STEM libraries also.
I imagine this. So we're all seeing it. We're all like, great, this is wonderful. It would be great if students would just come and say, hey, I need a source. And you could be like, great, I can give you a good source. I have no answers for how to make people do that other than, no, there are none really, sorry. So while I'm going through all this AI stuff, I feel like I'm bashing AI. I use AI. There are really, really great applications for AI. And one of the things that I was thinking about AI could be good for students is search terms. So I thought we would compare what search terms would librarians use for this question versus AI. So the question is, I'm trying to research Putin's leadership in the 2020s in regards to military power. What kind of search terms would you ask a student to use in regards to that? I think Putin would be an obvious one. I'll take the easy one.
I'll ask, do they want to search in Russian?
Let's say no. I have yet to have someone ask me to do a search in a language that's not English, but that is a good thing to ask. We'll keep it in mind. You would get very different searches or results if you did use Russian, I'm sure. Y'all have any suggestions? That good one. Have anything to chat? No. Okay. All right, so we can judge AI a little now. So I asked ChatGPT, and this is the list of things it gave me. So it gave me a long list, possible things to do. At the end, I do like that it added combining these terms with keywords like analysis, impact, trends, or insight can yield more specific results. So you can add. It does give guidance, but if you threw these into a database, you wouldn't get great results. I did it, I got some stuff, but if you break it up with Boolean operators, put in it advanced searches, you get a lot better results. So AI is trying, but it's not at the level where it's going to get you to a better place than a librarian is. So if you choose to go the route of we can't beat AI, we're just going to join it, there are good ways to use AI. But you have to remember that a lot of AI are created to do specific jobs. Also that it's changing rapidly. So a lot of the AI that people use like Gemini and ChatGPT, Copy AI, and those others, they're very general. So their job, they're just like, I'm going to go out and I'm going to answer your question, and I'm equipped to answer any question I can think about. But then there are more specific AI tools that are designed to do very specific things. So you got to make sure you choose the right tool for the job. And don't just grab an AI tool and say, hey, I'm going to use this. You have to put it through some testing, see what works, see what doesn't, find its limitations. You need to do research into how it works. What was it created to do? Where is it getting its data from? Always double check your AI's work. Always double check it, because the second you don't double check it, it will be wrong. And AI is great for general tasks. If you are organizing things, if you're making lists, if you are checking over your work, it's fantastic. If you're the more specific of a thing you asked it to do, probably the less well it does it. So specifically in regards to research, to kind of combat those fake citations, you can suggest AI tools to students because you know they're using AI. There are a lot of research-based tools that are out there for free for people to use. A couple of them I've highlighted here is Research Rabbit. It takes a paper, it maps out all the different citations, and you can jump from citation to citation to gather more papers that are relevant to whatever you're searching. Elicit is also like that, but it does a lot more things. It's more of, it creates like a little literature review. It summarizes things. It defines more technical jargon. It's really great, but it is created to do research. There's also Snowball, which is like Research Rabbit. It goes through papers, it finds things based on matching citations, and helps you build up your library of research. You're still going to have to go through and read it, check it out. But these are tools that you could offer to students instead of just saying, hey, you got to come in and talk to us, because at some point we know, well, they're not going to do that. So the alternative might be handing them different tools to work with and say, don't ask ChatGPT, don't ask Nipper GPT. Here's your one really good source. Go to these other places and start there. So AI is here. These are just some open questions. Are we going to assume everybody using AI is lazy? Do you try to educate your user group on what AI is, how we use it? Do you just never mention it and hope students never learn about it? Are you going to work it into your services? Are you just going to add it to your information literacy presentation and say, hey, this is something we're going to talk about that's the same as finding random sources on the internet that are really sketchy in some guy's blog back from 2005. You also have to use that same level of skepticism with ChatGPT. Even if your roommate said, it works great, I got an A on that paper it wrote for me. Or found all my sources and did my works cited page. Thank you for joining me for that ramble through generative AI. I had a lot of fun putting this together and playing around with things and learning the limitations. AI is a very vast, even if you cut it down just to academia research and stuff, there's a lot of stuff going on. So I wanted to leave y'all with some LibGuides that are about how librarians are handling AI and AI generated resources. The LibGuides talk about telling students how to use it. They have a lot of AI tools listed. So if you're looking for some things to use, they're there. There's a lot of different things you can, different tools. I learned some things. The one from the University of Arizona is specifically aimed towards instructors and how to teach AI literacy. So I included that because I thought it was pretty interesting to see that take on it. You've also got examples of policies. So how to craft your generative AI policy in higher education. And there's also a collection of different examples of policies that places had written, which is interesting to read through because everybody has a little bit of a different take on it. And lastly, the DAF AI launch point, which has got information on AI specifically for, I'm sorry, I lost all my words, specifically for those of us in the DoD service. And a more targeted at a specific audience. So, do y'all have any questions? Have any comments or stories to share about the wonderful or terrible things that AI has done in your library recently? Maybe some ways that your library is using AI to make your services better.
We have a couple in the chat.
Okay.
Andrew, do you want me to read your comment or do you want to say it out loud?
Yeah.
Andrew says, whenever talking about the citations with
Google.
Gemini, that's interesting because Google also has Google Scholar and Google Books. So it doesn't look like there's communication or verification between their platforms.
Right. So Google Gemini is evidently not talking to Google Scholar. It is using like the Google search to check Gemini. So you would expect it to be all working together, as it were. And that's why I thought Google, Gemini was doing a better job than GPT getting these sources. I'm like, oh, well, it's Google. It's got access to Google Scholar. It's got all this stuff. Evidently not. So you do have to kind of check and see what all is my AI pulling from for these sources.
We also had some people asking what the answer was for the citations question.
Oh, the citations. I'm sorry. It's C. It is C for the citations. I just completely forgot about that one. Although, to be fair, the citation, I did put it in. I did have the website generate it for me. I didn't write it down by hand. I'm out of graduate school, so I don't feel like I need to do that much anymore.
Dr. Rollins says, always ask a librarian.
Always ask your librarian. We're very happy if you ask us a question. We will not tell you go away, we're busy, unless something's on fire. And there's nothing more librarians like than finding stuff for you.
And she also points out that DAF AI launch point is Air Force only.
Yes, that is Air Force only. Okay. I forgot we had a mixed group in here when I was putting together the slides. So that was a more specific resource that I wanted.
And then Paul also posted Naval Postgrad School also has a guide relevant to DoD guidance on generative AI.
Okay.
So he shared that in the chat as well.
Right. So thank you so much for sharing that. There's a lot to learn. And the good thing is librarians are great at pulling resources and sharing information. We're all about that. So your jobs are safe from AI. They haven't got the finding sources down, so we're good here, right? Now we just have to convey that to all of our patrons that please just come to us first and it saves us time.
Jackson, do you want me to read yours out loud or?
Are you kidding?
Sure.
Thank y'all so much for joining us today. Hopefully you learned something. I had a lot of fun talking to y'all. And have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday.